Hello everyone, it's Don back with the next progress report on the War Corsair. Today is Monday, September 1st, Labor Day, so happy Labor Day to everybody. Well, I got it all back together. As you can see, everything's in. There's my new battery mount. I stole this idea off of an airplane called an L600, I believe it is. It's a plane made over somewhere in Europe, Russia somewhere. All they had was a piece of aluminum angle, as you can see there. Let's see how the light's dead, but had a piece of aluminum angle bolted to the firewall, and then just a strap going around it. So I stole their idea. So that made for a nice insulation. So then I cut the cables down, shortened them up, re-crimped the ends with the ring terminals, big ring terminals. They're soldered and crimped. So I shortened up this one, shortened up the positive, negative. Shortened up the starter. And the only one I didn't have to shorten was the alternator, but I was going to originally hook it down here to the positive bus bar, so it was just the battery coming down to here. But I didn't have any more of this cable this size, but it fit fine this way, just straight to the power. But I did get it running. You can see I got the air filter off. Had it running. I got the springs in here now. You can feel a piece of spring right there. There's a shallow spot and a spring right there. So running it. No problem. They don't show any signs of sucking in whatsoever. So those work perfect. Everything's it started and run fine. And then I got the wideband oxygen sensor all done. There's the plug. And what I ended up doing is that 8-foot harness. This is the part of the 8-foot harness here. All I did was I cut it off, made it, a foot or so long on this side, soldered it into the pins on this side. There's 6 wires in this cable. And then on the other side, I cut that end off. It has a little 8-pin connector, and that's only about 8 to 10 inches long, and I soldered it to that. So I cut out about 6 feet of this cable, so everything goes through here now. So I didn't have to run any separate holes. That 8-foot cable on their site, I think, is like an $85 cable, and I just cut it up and used 2 feet of it. So I got about 6 feet of it I cut out. So that's done, and it does work. Let's see what else. I got the muffler completely bolted in tight, hooked up, oxygen sensor in. Oxygen sensor works. Had to wire the oxygen sensor in. And today didn't get to make a video yesterday because it was all ready to start. All I had to do is drop the fuel tank in, put some gas in it, hook it up, turn it on, and but I wanted to work on this connection point here. So let me see if I can get a hold of this thing. So this is what I've done. It's just a strap of aluminum bolted down through. It goes down through that little thin piece of plywood into a solid corner block, which is 3/4 inch thick. So it bolts all the way down through there, through that steel corner bracket. And it comes up here underneath, and just underneath the fiberglass, and it's bent, and it's got a nut in there. So I haven't got the backs done, but I got both front done. And as you can see, the hole right there. So once you pull this over and line her up, I'm going to get some correct size panhead screws and bolt them in. So I just got the last, track 2 to do. It's set and kind of hitting the harness back here, that's why it's not setting. What else did I do? I think that was it. Get the battery done. Got the intake all done, all put back together. Got the fuel tank finished. Had a hell of a time getting the thing to prime up. But after I got it running, I could tell it was still running too rich. At idle, I was able to crank it down to 900 RPM by adjusting the screw here. And then with the idle mixer screw, which I have out right now, it still runs, even at closed throttle. And it shouldn't run. It should only run off of this. So that was problem number 1. And then I knew it was running rich. So when I pulled the mixer control in the plane, about half mixture lean, it helps it smooth it out and idle. Even at idle, it still helps. But even if you pull that all the way up, it shouldn't die, which it doesn't die because, for one, it's too rich. But if you have it too lean on the mixture, it will kill the engine. It can make it stall. But it wouldn't stall. And I could see every time I revved it, you could just see the puffs of black smoke. So, and then I tested the alternator, turned it on, nothing, no output. So chances are this is like a 4-pin plug, and I'm only using 2, basically a trigger where's the other one go to? I remember one goes to the switch, so I can turn it on and off, and the other is a power connection. It feeds power to it, I believe. I found like 3 different schematics for this alternator, and every one of them's got a different pin out. So it's just a matter of finding the correct pin for the field terminal. I might be able to do some resistance ohm readings to find out which one it is, but I got to do some more research to get this working. So the whole time I'm cranking and firing this thing up, the battery's getting weak, and then it finally, the starter wouldn't engage all the way. The Bendix here wouldn't, not the Bendix, but the solenoid that pulls this thing in with a big washer on it to hit these 2 lugs to kick it over, it wasn't pulling hard enough to kick it over, so it wouldn't even crank. So I had to throw the charger on it, but I wasn't able to get it started, and then it was starting to go rah, 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 rah. So I pulled the plugs out of her, and that's what we got. And babies are completely fouled, pig rich, absolutely pig rich, all 4 of them. So that's why I was having a hard time starting. But it does run without the fuel pump even turned on. Once it was primed up and started, it ran fine. I put my trouble light on there, or timing light, hooked her up to the plug wire, hooked her up to the battery, nothing, won't work, dead in her doornail, couldn't get it to work. So I always had trouble with this thing not working. I'm going to have to go buy me a new one. But anyway, biggest problem was running super rich. The exhaust is fine, everything's fine. I had an oil drip on the return line from the bottom of the motor into the tank. It was dripping off of the fitting. And I got an oil leak here coming out of the gearbox. So it's either coming out of that rear main seal, or the planetary gears are bolted into this casting inside, and then you had, when I took it apart, that thing was just packed solid with RTV to seal up those bolts, because they go all the way throughout the backside. Well, I just sealed them up on the backside where the nut is. There's a nut on the back that bolts everything together. So what I got to do is pull the starter off, pull the gearbox off, and find out if it's coming out of the shaft seal or if it's coming out of those, I think I think there's only 4 bolts, maybe 6. See where it's leaking and fix that. But that's an easy fix. At the worst case scenario, I just have to take this part around here, pop it off. I don't have to tear any of this part. I just got to get to the planetary gears that are bolted to this plate, and then see about resealing it. The seal's brand new. I replaced both seals when I had it apart. But yet this one, you can see the stain right there on the muffler. It's dripping on the floor running. Turns out I tightened up the fitting, this fitting right here. I tightened it up, but the oil is wet back here around the back, so I wiped it up and I started running my finger around. It turns out there's a tiny little pinhole. See, it just dripped. There's a tiny little pinhole in the weld. It's essentially right here. I rub my finger across it. You can't see it. Trust me, it's wet, and it's still dripping. So that means the oil tank's got to come out, and I got to touch up that weld. I didn't pressure check it because everything looked really good, but unfortunately, it's not really good. So yeah, you can probably see right here. If I can get the camera to see where that, right here in this front corner, it's puddling right there. So it's like a thin weld spot. Everything else looks dry so far. There's an oil here where it's leaking from up there. It could be leaking from my plate assembly, could be leaking out underneath this. It seems to be coming down, but I can't really tell where it's coming from. So there's a small leak there, small leak there, small leak there. No fuel leaks. Everything looks good. So I went in to look at I downloaded the manual for this carburetor, and this is a used carburetor I bought off of eBay. I got it for like $400, and they're $1,000 cars. So what it turns out is, the manual says if you can screw in this mixer screw all the way and it continues running, you'll see this here is the bar that turns. Excuse me. It's hard to do. I need 3 hands, folks. Sorry, I hit the stop button, record button. But as you can see, let me turn this all the way up. Oh, this thing's tough to do. 1 second. Get that thing full lean. You can see the holes in that spray bar. All the little holes. But and the spray bar goes into the back edge over there. There's a seal on that end. And then on the slide itself, there's another seal for that throttle slide where it goes around the bar. You can kind of see that black ring around the center of this bar. This bar here, there's a black seal in there. So it says, the book says that that seal is worn out and it's allowing fuel to be drawn. Because when it's closed, damn it, when it's closed, all you got is that little bit of airflow going through that tiny little crack, and then the idle fuel metering comes in from that side. But what's happening is, even with that closed, it's sucking fuel past the seal in this piece here. So, and they got this little kind of a star clip in there that pushes against the seal. It says you got to send it back to them in Australia to have them rebuild it or something. But if I can get the seals, I can do it myself. You know, I can tear it. I've already had it torn apart once to re-weld this arm is what I had to do. So those are the main problems. When it was running 10 to 1. Even at idle, it wouldn't go leaner than 10 to 1, and that is pig rich, so it's no good. But if it's drawing fuel past that seal, that'll do it. Once I got revved it up, I did have it idling down at 900, but it was running rough because 10 to 1 is too rich. And by pulling the mixture control, I was able to lean it down some, and then once I was revving it up with like almost full lean on this thing, it was going, I seen it hit 13s, 14s, and then it was starting to stumble from being too lean at the throttle setting. But it was, I just free revving up to like 4 grand at one point. Let me see, I can show you the gauge. Turn the power on, and then you have to turn this switch on to get the wide band working. So there's a 745. Takes a little bit for it to come online once it heats up, but they tell you don't wait for it to heat up, just start it. So that's only comes on with the ignition, the key. Fuel pump switch is over here. Alright, well, I think that's going to do her. So I got a few things to touch up. I'll lop them off after I get the cowl. Once I finish up these two, I'll get these finished probably tomorrow. These last two connections. The tank will be ready to go in, bolt down, and then I can start working on the upper cowl. But now I got to dig into this carburetor. The only way to get it apart is to take the whole thing off. And like I said, I already safety wired the screws and Loctited them, so now I got to undo that, unsafety this, pull it apart. But it did run surprisingly without even, once I got it running, turned off the fuel pump to see if that would help make it leaner. It didn't change, but it ran just fine. I was able to free rev it with no problem. So, okay, again, the wife's got dinner started. She told me 15-20 minutes, and I don't know how long that first piece was till I hit the stop button. But it ran. It did have a couple backfires, only because it's running so rich. So I couldn't get the timing light to work to check the base timing. I can hook the computer up to it, my laptop, and do some watch the screen and see what the ignition timing says and see where it is on the timing table to see how much timing I got. You should be able to see about 20 degrees of timing once it's just fired up and idling. For starting, it fires at 10 degrees, and then when it's idling, it should be, once it's running and idling, it should be right around 20 degrees. So I do have the vacuum source all hooked up. Everything from the engine is completely plumbed, short of an air temp sensor. I'll have to clean the plugs out, get them cleaned up, and get her fired back up. But main thing is I have to get on this carburetor. I may take it apart and see if I can find the seals locally here that'll work in it. If not, there's a guy in the States sells these things, and maybe he sells parts. He has that Corsair, sells parts for the Corsair engines, the 6-cylinder air-cooled Chevy engines from the 60s that they use in aircraft. So he sells these carburetors, and he does offer some stuff, so I'll see what he's got. If not, I'll see about trying to find the seals myself locally. Can't be anything too special, I imagine. Alright, so this seems to be fixed. They do not, I can't even squeeze them. I mean, they are, cannot squeeze them. There's little soft spots between the coils. But yeah, it looked fine. Revving it up, it wouldn't even do anything. You couldn't even see them even flexing. So that's holding up well. How's my leak over here? Don't see like when it started up, it started smoking out of here. I don't know if it was just hot and something burning off. It didn't really smell like antifreeze, but there's no leaks. Coolant system was full. I really wanted to get her started so you could hear it, but it's so flooded it didn't want to start. If I cleaned the plugs out, I could probably get it restarting, but it wouldn't take much to. The belt was beautiful, running, tracking, beautiful. So, alright, I guess that's going to do it for this one, folks. Sorry, I didn't want to try and push it yesterday. I didn't get done until like 6 o'clock last night, and I still had to get fuel for the tank. I could have put fuel in it and tried to start it last night, but I figured, let me just take my time and work on it today. And so today I was out here working on this. So just 2 more of them to finish up, and we'll be good to go. Meanwhile, I'll dig into that. And then next step is throw the top cowl on, check it, see where it is in line with the prop, how much space I got. If it seems like it's going to be too close, I'll trim 1/2 inch or 1 inch off of that aluminum extension and re-drill it, and then see where to go from there. But the top cowl will fit on, the bottom won't fit on because of the pipes. And once I get the top on, then I can figure out where to plop the holes for these. And then I still have to do a hanger here somewhere to attach this so it won't drop. Oxygen sensor again is in there and tightened down. I just gotta tie the wires and harnesses out of the way now, and should be good to go, folks. Alright, that's gonna do her. I'm gonna go ahead and get some supper. She ought to be getting pretty close to finishing. So as always, appreciate everyone taking time to watch my videos. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns as always, and don't be afraid to leave any comments. And I won't be doing another video tomorrow unless I get some major breakthrough, but I'm not planning on doing a video tomorrow, just because I got one done today. I got to work on my car. I'm hearing an exhaust leak, and I can smell it when I'm idling at a stop with the AC on. So I got to crawl under the car tomorrow and look into that and get that fixed. So tomorrow I'm probably just going to take it easy, give this thing a break and ponder. Maybe I'll tinker with the car, but we'll see. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for this one. So I probably won't see you again till next weekend. Actually, Thursday, I'm probably going to be going to a funeral. A friend of mine down the street, his wife died, so he's got a thing on Thursday. Luckily, it's in the morning before I have to go out and drive, and then the lunch they're having for the wake after the funeral is right downtown, so I can go there for at least a couple hours, and then I can go outside, turn the app on, and go to work. So, all right, everyone, I will probably not see you guys again until next weekend unless I have some kind of major breakthrough that I need to post another video in the next day or two. I'll do that, but plan on next weekend, folks. All right, everyone, I'll see you guys then. So this is Done and Done out.